What's going on, guys? My name is Brandon. Today we've got an interesting repair video. I've got an indirect water heater. Well, apparently you're supposed to maintain those yearly. I haven't done mine for 8 years, so. Oh, and the best part, I don't have a clue what I'm doing. Should be interesting. Alright guys, so this is actually the second time I've ever worked on a heating system. The first one, I'll put a link up there, that was last week where I replaced this. And I know nothing about this, but all I know is that our hot water has started to not last as long. What I'm going to start by doing is draining it out to see how much sediment is in there. And then up here, you've got like an inspection port here. And this is where the anode rod goes. We'll talk more about that, but let's get this tank drained and see what's in it. Shut off the water feed. Yeah, right there. So shut that off. There, now we can drain the tank. All I've got is a washing machine hose hooked up to the tank, and I already shut off the boiler. Now I could drain this, stretch out a garden hose and drain this into my slop sink. I don't have a floor drain in my cellar, but this is only like a 35-gallon storage tank or so. So, you know, 5 or 6 of these buckets and I should have it drained out. So it shouldn't be that big of a deal. All right, now we're in my laundry room. So check out this old sink though, guys. When we bought the house, this is one of the few things that I kept in our house when we came here. This whole setup, how it's all old, I just left it. But a little history for you guys. This sink it's a slate sink. It was made in Monson, Maine. So Monson is probably about an hour away from where I live. And man, this thing is heavy. Look how thick this thing is. I don't know. I just really like this sink. It's pretty nice. All right. Here's our first bucket that we drained off. Check how nasty this is. That's like rust colored. Oh, look at the crap in the bottom of that. Look at that. Look at that. That's like sand. It looks just like sand. I hope this tank's okay. Alright, let me go drain 5 more of these and we'll see what it looks like when I'm done. Oh, and I had to open up a faucet upstairs. I just opened up a hot and cold faucet so it creates like a vent so the tank would drain better. Alright, I'm on my second bucket. This one looks a little bit clearer. But the one thing that's odd, the water's not hot. I mean, I just turned off the boiler. The way this works is the boiler heats up something. It runs through the pipes, runs through, I think, this circulator, comes over, down, through a coil inside the tank, comes back out of the coil on that pipe and just recirculates. It just keeps doing that, round and round and round and round. Now here's a little bit better look at that tank. So here's the coils, coil all around, and you can see that's the anode rod there. The tank is still draining. I'm 15 gallons into it, and I'm just starting now to get hot water out of the bottom of the water tank. So I don't know why that is. I'm not a boiler guy, but while that's draining, I'm going to pull this anode rod out and see what it looks like. This is 1 1/16 if you have this model. It takes 1 1/16 socket. Well, that came out pretty easy. I'm the new owner of this. My wife and I had this stuff installed when we first moved in to our house, so we're the only ones that have ever lived here with this equipment installed. So I'm curious. So it's out. So for you guys that don't know anything about this, I've done some research, and this is supposed to, the tank is supposed to eat this up versus eating up your hot water tank. Wow. Ha! That's pretty bad. This is made of magnesium. Do you want to see what this is supposed to look like new? You'll be amazed. Check this out, guys. Here's a brand new one. Okay, this one is a factory new one. I ordered it right from, it's a Buderus part. It's not a generic. So, look at that compared to that. That's 1 inch in diameter. So, yeah, pretty rough. Pretty rough. And here are the part numbers, if you guys are wondering. This requires a 15/16 hex head socket to get in there. Well, I didn't have one. So I had a bolt that was 15/16 that fits right down in there. This nut happens to be 1 1/16, which is the same exact size as the anode rod. So now I only need one tool to take this apart. A breaker bar and an 1 1/16 socket, and I can pull the anode rod and I can pull the inspection port every time. Alright. Holy. The socket for this isn't expensive. It's only like $5. But your Home Depot, Lowe's, big box stores, at least around here, they don't carry it. It's too big. It's too big of a hex head tool. So yeah, I would have had to have ordered it. And being the type of person I am, I didn't want to wait. I wanted to do it right now. I got limited time to get things done. So, and I had a bolt and I had a nut, and I made it work. This could be interesting. Probably the little bottom's rotted right out of it. I love this light. They don't look bad. You can see the coils a little bit. See a little bit of the side of that tank. It's got a little bit of rust on it. Maybe I can jet that off with like a garden hose or something. Alright, you see that line right there, the water line with the valve on it? So that's the cold water that feeds into the boiler. Okay? Now, you see that tube right there? That's going all the way to the bottom of the tank. That's called a dip tube. That is this cold water extending all the way to the bottom of the tank. I've been told that that can be a problem with hot water, I guess, or cold water, something. It can just mess up your tank if that doesn't go all the way to the bottom. Well, it does. I turn the valve on and it stirs up sediment at the bottom. So we're all drained, and I still got a little bit more cleaning to do inside. Can you see there's just a little bit of sediment left down at the bottom, but you can see the entire bottom of the tank. But there's a little bit of sediment still left inside there, and you can see there's a little bit of rust going on too. I don't know how big of a deal that is, but to help get that out of the bottom, I went to my local plumbing supply store and I made up this little valve thing. So this is on the end of my garden hose. I've got a shut off there, and it's just a compression fitting with some 3/8 copper tube. Let me show you how it works, and I've just been jetting it down inside the tank to help get some of that sediment out of the bottom. So I take this, jetting this around, it helps loosen up some of that stuff down there. pretty clean right now, though. All right, I got it really, really clean now. Look down in there. Got the bottom all cleaned out. Just being persistent, flushing it. You can see all the way to the bottom. That little section on the right hand side at about maybe 4 o'clock, that is the that's the drain. So, and that right there is what's called the dip tube. That's where the cold water fills the boiler. I mean, fills the hot water heater. And that little thing at about 6 o'clock, that's like a little well, which is like a little port where the aquastat goes, which is right here. And that's what cycles the temperature, you know, on and off, cycles the boiler on and off. It reads the temperature. And I was just looking through the directions to see what I'm supposed to do. And it says to wrap it with Teflon tape to help seal it, wrap it generously. So, I don't know, that to me seems a little weird. It almost seems like it would have to make some sort of connection from the tank to the rod in order for it to work, but maybe not. I'm going to follow the directions. So I don't want this to be like a how-to video, guys, and I hope it's not coming off that way. I wanted to figure out how to do this for myself because I don't know, I just like to know things. And I really couldn't find a lot online for this tank on how to do it. So I'm kind of learning as I go. And maybe in all this, somebody who has one of these tanks can look at that and say, oh, that's how it comes apart, or that's how it works. But by no means is this what you need to do or what you're supposed to do. I read that this rod is supposed to be clean, so you don't want your finger oils on it, is what I understand. So I'm going to go wash this off with soap and water because I've handled this. So I want to make sure that this rod is nice and clean and there's no oils on it. So I'll be right back. Alright, I just finished washing this with some soap and water, and we'll get it inserted back in there. Yeah, that's in there. I just wanted to make sure I didn't have it cross-threaded. Alright, so what I'm probably going to do before I go too bananas tightening this down, because this tank's fairly light right now because there's no water in it, I'll probably fill the tank with water, and then we'll put the plug in here, and then we'll snug this up and check it, make sure we don't have any leaks. Then we'll turn the boiler back on. So far, so good. You can see it filling up. I've got the tank filled just about to the top. Now, I'm wrapping this with a generous amount of thread tape. I really should have just stayed on top of this and, you know, checked it every year. It probably, you know, this has taken me close to a half a day to flush this tank out and whatnot. Just because, you know, there was a fair amount of sediment in it. I was concerned that I might have ruined it, that it could just been rotted completely out and there was no hope. But so yeah, that tool works pretty slick, and the greatest part is that it's the same size socket for the anode rod as it is for the plug. That sounds weird, huh? Anode rod? But that's what they're called. Like I say, this socket right here, this little adapter piece that I made is it's like a $5 tool, but you know, right now it's Friday. None of the box stores carry it. And oh, plus I forgot to mention, we've got snow coming. It actually snowed. It already snowed this morning, and I haven't had my heat on in my house all day. So that's always a nice comforting feeling, especially when you don't know what you're doing. But I don't know, what could go wrong, right? I don't know how tight is tight, but just as long as it doesn't leak. Let's turn it on and top it off. Turn the hot back on. That little banging you heard, that was my wrench that was over there. Well, I don't see any leaks. I don't see anything down in there. Well, let me pick up my tools and we'll fire this juleper up, see what happens. I spoke too soon. I already got a problem. This valve is leaking. A little drip. I think this might have a little packing nut behind it. Come on. See if that, that's the problem when you get into stuff like this. You know, none of these valves have been used. I mean, I have a clue about some stuff, but heating and hydronic and stuff like that, I don't. But any valve that you don't exercise, like in a commercial setting, it's called exercising a valve. You know, they'll go around and turn off valves just for the sake of turning them off and on so that you don't have these problems. Well, you know, in a residential setting, you're not going to typically go around and exercise your valves. At least I never have. But all right, so there, that dried that up. I just tightened that packing nut a little bit. So, all right, let me get back to what I was doing, which was picking up tools. We'll let that get up to temp and see if we got any leaks. So far, so good, I think. Wow, that's hot already. That's retained some heat. I'm surprised the boiler held heat for that long. I mean, granted, it's not scalding hot, but it's warm. So here's a closer look up at that setup. I don't know a lot about it. About the sizes or whatever, because I told the guy what I was trying to do. I told him what I wanted. I said I need a valve, it's got to be this, it's got to be that. So this valve, I don't know, it's like $7. So this is like a garden hose spigot. Then I've got a coupling that goes that converts the male thread to the female, because that's this now is your inlet for this little device. You know what I mean? Your garden hose will screw right into that. So then you can control it right at the thing here. Then it just goes down to compression, and then I just got 4 feet of copper line. So I don't know. I want to say this whole little setup thing cost me like 20 bucks, but it was, you know, 20 bucks well spent because now I have it. And now I have no excuse of why I shouldn't be flushing and draining the tank. And, you know, if it gets too bad, I can pull the port out like we did, the inspection port, and jet it around inside. So, but yeah, I should have never have let it get this far, you know. Now, I've always been intimidated by boilers and heat and stuff like that, and you know, so it's caused me to not necessarily maintain stuff. And if I can't get a guy to come when either I'm home or my wife's home, sometimes it gets slipped and gets neglected. So, you know, I'm the type of guy that we bought a new car and got free oil changes for 2 years, but because I felt that the intervals were too far from what the factory recommended, I actually paid to have oil changes done in between the free ones. So, you know, I need to learn about this stuff, and the best way to do it is kind of just, in my opinion, to dive in and, you know, ask help and ask for knowledgeable people. And, you know, I'm going to start doing some more of this stuff myself because, yes, there's a lot to it, and yes, it is a specific trade, but stuff like this, maintenance, you can do this yourself. I mean, at least here you can. In our state, it's not illegal. I'm sure it is somewhere else, but yeah. So that's a little bit about this. Just wanted to share it with you. So the furnace is still running, but I got hot water, and I don't have any leaks. I gotta wait until all this moisture still dries up, but I don't see any leaks right now. So yeah, I'm pretty proud of myself. This is a huge kind of like accomplishment for me, because I normally don't like trying to mess with stuff like this. I usually leave this to the professionals, but this almost seems like an annual thing that I should probably just be looking into and keeping on top of. You know, I guess worst case scenario is that if somebody decides to do this, that at least you can afford the emergency service call if something completely goes wrong, because, you know, it's winter here. It's winter here in Maine, and, you know, the temperature gets below zero at night, and we rely on our boilers and we rely on our hot water. So, you know, I guess if you're going to do this, just understand that you could be paying much more money by doing it yourself than trying to pay a professional. But, you know, if nothing goes wrong, I guess you could also save some money too by just doing routine maintenance yourself. And that's all there is to it, guys. I want to thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for tuning in. I know this isn't my usual content, but it's something that I had to do, so I figured rather than just skip over it, maybe I could help somebody out and do a video on it, and they could see what I got involved with and what I used for tools and how I did it. Again, that was installed 8 years ago. It's never been maintained. It's on city water. Hopefully I helped somebody else that has one of these tanks and shed some light on what you need to do. So, but it's something I need to learn. That's the one thing that I've always shied away from, is boilers and heating and all the maintenance that goes with that. And I think I have a responsibility as a homeowner that I need to know a little bit more about these things. So I'm trying to educate myself. I want to know more about things. It's not that I don't trust the guy who normally does my stuff, but it's just nice to know, you know, isn't it? I want to thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you want to find out what I'm working on before it even makes it up to YouTube, you can click the links down below. I'm on Facebook and on Instagram. I'm always uploading there. And till next week, guys, I'll see you then. Stay safe. See ya. Oh, and if you like this stuff, please don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. I'm always doing something different. Thanks. See ya.